Hey, True Believers, Englentine here with, news. I'm sure you've seen somebody talk about this by this point. The whole bit about how they want to turn, Marvel wants to make Professor Xavier and Magneto people of color, colored people. Let's just get that racism right out there. And I really do think it needs to be brought out. I decided to go with the Mary Sue on the articles because they've got the most infuriating one. So here's the thing. We've been over this. It's lazy. There are characters out there who are not being used, but every time, and I made a video about this before, just not a couple of weeks ago, talking about the most underused black characters and stuff like that. There's so many characters out there. As far as X-Men are concerned, hey, can't we get a good Storm or Bishop? You know, he's time traveling. They've attached it to Cable. I'll tell you what, I'm going to say this. I told you so. I frickin' told you so. I was saying, everybody's like, oh, I want the X-Men in the Marvel Universe. I told you so. I frickin' said you do not want that. You don't want the X-Men in the MCU. You don't want Fantastic Four in the MCU. But, oh my gosh, I kept hearing it over and frickin' over again. Oh, I want this. It's such a... I've got a joke I tell. And unfortunately, as time goes on, it becomes less and less of a joke. And it goes, the Englentine and the words are wrong rarely should be used in a sentence. I told you guys so. I really did. So anyway, instead of using an original black character and promoting that and putting a black character up to the point of, say, Black Panther or Blade definitely, who was unknown to everybody outside of comic books until he had a successful movie. Instead of promoting a black character like that, they want to color a white character because these racists, and they are racist, believe that a black person cannot be elevated. They cannot be brought forth. They cannot become popular without riding the coattails of a more popular white character. I find that to be wrong. And if you don't believe me, think about this. When did they start talking about giving the Falcon his own show? Before or after he got the Captain America shield? When did people start really paying attention to the Falcon? Was it before or after he became Captain America? And this is something I've always liked the character. That's why I always bring him up, by the way. Anyway, we've got a couple of stories like this. Rumor mill, Magneto, Professor X to be POC in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I frickin' told you so. I told you so. So blah, 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 with Marvel plans for the X-Men Fantastic Four completely up in the air. Rumor mill. And yes, this is rumor. And it might just be to get people talking. You know, they like to say, like, oh, he's a racist because he's against this. You know what? I love the actor they're planning on. It's that guy from Breaking Bad. He's a good actor. More power to him. It's just, there are so many characters out there that you could be promoting. And they don't even give the Falcon a freaking movie. They put him on TV. The casting could be part of MCU's off-stated desire to promote representation and diversity. After all, Feige told The Wrap that he does believe that the future of the MCU depends on that. It really shouldn't. It should depend on great stories. If those great stories have people who are black in them, awesome. If it has people who are Latino in it, awesome. If it has people who are gay in it, awesome. But it should be because the story has that. It has to be a narrative. You have to come up with a really good narrative as to why this change has to happen. But they're not. They're going, well, we're going to have this guy. Aren't we great? We're going to have this demographic. Aren't we great? No, I'm sorry. I'm not impressed. You know what? I've seen black actors before. I've seen gay actors before. I don't think that people who are not white doing things is some sort of stupid human trick that should be on David Letterman. I've seen it before. It's now time to make sure that it's good. Okay, they're not talking about, well, we've got this great script and we're going to hire the best actor for it. And if the best actor just so happens to be somebody who's not white. Awesome. But they're not talking about that. It goes on to say, so the notion of representation on screen in front of and behind the camera, somebody asked me once, so is Black Panther a one-off? I said, no, it's not a one-off. This is the future. This is the way the world is. And the way certainly our studio is going to be run going forward, because it brings about better stories. The more diverse the group of people making a movie, the better the stories. You know, if you've got the best people for the job, and the best people for the job happen to make a diverse group, okay. I still believe the best is the best no matter what. No matter what. Also, he talks about something, and here's something I think is missed. He says, this is the way the world is. Okay, yeah. And he's right. I live in Florida. Man, we are an incredibly diverse state. Central Florida is amazingly diverse. And here's the thing, though. Except for Shaun King, who is white as frickin' paper, you can't change your race. See, that's the way the world is. And here's the real problem, and this is really where it comes down to. This is the meat and potatoes, and I had people yell at me because I've said this. The writers and the artists who say, well, it's only a character, it's fictional. They don't care. They don't care about it. Here, I blame Stan Lee, okay? Stan Lee created a community, and more important, he created continuity. What happened at issue 1 affects what happens in issue 10. So if you have a guy who is a white character in issue number 10, he's not going to be a black character, except for Lois Lane. And everybody knows what a disaster that was. It just doesn't happen. To the reader, because of this sense of continuity, these people have lived. These people have breathed through these books. And we're getting these artists and writers because, look, they do their time and then they move on. They write the book. Okay, I'm done with it. Next. And you get these people who don't believe that these are living, breathing creatures. And yes, I do know they're fictional. Okay, this is not something crazy, but the thing is, it's somebody that we've followed, somebody that have, in some cases, pulled us out of tough times, or we found inspiration when we needed it, and that's what these characters mean to us. And I don't believe they mean to people who stand up and go, well, it needs to be changed because. I don't know. So anyway, the Mary Sue goes on to say, now this might come as a surprise, but I think this only half works. I think making Eric a visibly Romany Jewish man would be super important. I don't think it's important. If you look at Ian McKellen, he was awesome. He didn't need to be a visibly Romany Jewish man because he's a great actor, and that's all you need. You need a great actor. And a good way to counter the whitewashing casting fail that was Scarlet Witch. Do you think that she was a fail? I thought she did fine in the job. You see it as whitewashing. I see they got a great actress for the job. I think you could also choose a mixed-race Jewish person, but I think it would be important to actually cast someone with Jewish ancestry. And this also, of course, goes along with the whole fact that they don't like acting. You know, Bill Burr, by the way, in his special talked about it. He's not a murder victim. He's walking around in another movie. As for Charles Xavier, I think he works best, and I love this part. As a white guy, because of his relationship to power, Charles is a manipulator, like white people are, in many ways, who has taken advantage of young people and turned them into child soldiers. When you read Professor X in the comics, there is a lot of privilege that he has that I think makes his optimism about human-mutant relationships so viable in his mind. He also has a colonial mentality molding these kids into his idea of what it means to be a good mutant. How about not attacking others because they're not like you? Okay? Duh. Holy shiitake mushrooms. This person doesn't even understand the X-Men. I got into I had a comment today about somebody saying that the X-Men follow the black experience, and I said something about the one great thing about the X-Men is that they follow everybody's experience. Even if you're just a a teenager who feels uncomfortable in their skin. It doesn't matter what color, what race, what creed, what gender. It doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is. The X-Men represented you. And that was the brilliance of the X-Men. It wasn't until Chris Claremont that there was any ties. Oh, well, it follows the Malcolm X, and that was not Stan Lee's original intent. It's everybody, man. That's the great thing about the X-Men. They are everybody. Let's see. What do I think would work better is that you keep Charles white but diversify the rest of the X-Men. Have you seen the X-Men? I could see as Native American okay, let's just say first of all, calling Native Americans is horrible. I know, let's call them after their conquerors. That would make us good people. Go yourself. Jean Grey could be Latina. Yeah, she could be, but she's not. Beast could be Southeast Asian. Hey, he could be a Martian, but once again, he's not. I think diverse X-Men is a better goal than a non-white Charles Xavier. I know what. Here's something. If you want a diverse X-Men, instead of changing the Beast to Asian or Jean Grey to Latina, how about we use Thunderbird? We use Storm. That's good. Nightcrawler is German, but, because of his mutation, he looks weird. There's many other. Jubilee, if you need an Asian. I'm sure that would be cool. Point being is the X-Men are diverse, you dumbass. Holy Toledo, this is an infuriating article. That's why I said I have to check this one out. I love diversity in these movies, and I want it to happen, but I would like thought put into it. What? No, really? That's what we're saying too. While organic diversity is a term that I feel has been weaponized, I do feel like if you're going to race bend important characters, you need to think about how that would change their mentality and experience. You need to think about how and why it has to be narratively. You want to write a non-white Charles Xavier, then think about how that would change him in the makeup of the X-Men. What you could do is actually show that people are more divided by class than they are race these days. And you could stop this whole thing about trying to recreate the 1960s. I'm sorry to the kids who'd been lied to nowadays. And I'm more sorry that they've believed the lie, but people don't give a seriously, walk around. People don't give a shit. They give a shit on Twitter because, they give a shit in the colleges. But people don't care, man. Seriously. Let's not forget that part of the reason Charles... and by the way, don't quote one dumbass racist and say, see, I told you all people are like this. You're just burying your own ignorant self. Let's not forget that part of the reason Charles and Magneto have conflict about their methods is because Magneto is a two-time minority, is both a Jewish man and a mutant. He is aware that humans already hate other humans, so he cannot... Not all humans, dumbass. So he cannot believe in some utopia where humans will come to love mutants who are even more different. So if we have a non-white Charles, then we need to understand why he is a person of color who had experienced racism. Would that... Chris Rock actually did a comedy set talking about how racist black people are and how much they hate black people too. And I've seen it many times. I used to date black girls, and I had this one girl, she was called a red bone. I had to figure out what that was. And darker skinned black people really didn't like her because of her lighter skin. Look, there is this kind of thing everywhere, but it's not in every one. As a matter of fact, for the most part, it's in it's in a few, and it's gone. Most people, if you hear about somebody like this, you put them down. Anyway, getting back to the comic book section of it, though, we don't need this. Use Xavier, use Magneto, and yeah, of course, use a Jewish actor. That's awesome. Doesn't mean it's necessary. Okay, and here's another one. Anyway, gang, there you go. I'm sure I said some things you're gonna disagree with, so just let me know in the comments below. Remember, let's keep it conversational. Also, don't forget to click like and share. Get word out about the channel if you like the channel. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, hit subscribe. And make sure you've got your notifications on and ring that bell. That's really what YouTube cares about these days. If you don't mind helping out the channel, go on over to Ko-Fi or to Patreon. Drop $1 in the till. Tip jar at both of them. And you can even commission a video over at Ko-Fi if you wish. I'd like to thank everybody who's already done that. And to everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.